to make do with the surroundings that I've got right now. So you're sitting inside my truck and I'm out here. A little windy, so trying to block the wind noise, and you're shooting through a window. But I want to talk a little bit about this guy. Deciding that I wanted to get a little bit more serious into making video. And while I love the A7 III, it does some things that aren't quite as good for video shooting, at least not at a professional quality. Lately, even the firmware updates haven't been solving the focus hunting problem I've been having, so I decided to move up, get something a little bit more pro. In come the Blackmagic 6K. Cue some of the Jeep footage. Mind you, that's not mind-blowing footage, I know. It was first outing with this camera, but the resolution is phenomenal. So some growing pains, but we'll work those out. We'll work them out, we'll get a little bit better. But is this something that you should consider? Are you looking at more professional video? Do you want a dedicated video body? Or should you just kind of stick to the hybrid mentality of shooting stills and video? Because if that's the case, that R5 from Canon, that looks pretty good right now. Now, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you already have a fair bit of knowledge about what the Blackmagic 6K is all about. And what it's all about is that 6K, that 6K footage. Let me tell you, with what this thing puts out, you're not gonna be disappointed. Squinting a lot, it's so bright. I'm ready for the fall. So instead of going over tech specs, resolution, data transfer rates, things like that, I'm gonna talk to you about what it's like to actually use this camera so that you can get a better understanding if it's for you and if it's for your shooting style or your workflow. So right off the bat, it's big. So big. And cumbersome. If you're a run and gun shooter, might not be for you. Why I say that is it's already really big. It already weighs a decent chunk. So if you're a run and gun kind of shooter, you're probably gonna wanna mount your camera on a gimbal. Gimbals in this, touchy relationship, a little tough. If you have a Ronin SC, don't bother. This can't handle it. You might look at the overall weight and say, oh, it'll be close. No, can't handle it. Frankly, I had to extend the lateral kind of gimbal arm all the way out just to get this thing to fit on there, and then it just went plop. Not having it, not having it. Manfrotto's gimbal can handle this weight, but also supposedly, rumor has it, Ronin's new handheld gimbal that's going to be replacing the Ronin S, it should be able to handle something like this. But we'll see. That's still rumors. Stuff just leaked about last week. So why do you use a gimbal? Smooth shots, right? Got to get that butter real. No in-body stabilization with this. That's all in your hands. You stabilize. Also, if you're going to be getting a film camera, you're most likely going to be getting cinema lenses. No lens stabilization either. So no stabilization, no stabilization. So what that means for you, you better have some steady hands. And I know I don't. I tried to replicate with this a shot that I took on my A7 III of my Ducati in the garage on a gimbal. Well, you'll see. Take a look. last shot, that kind of like pan and look up, I cut that out with this, and this is why. I got bad knees. I was a soccer player. Got bad knees. And you can see every creak of my knee as I go down, and look, I couldn't do it. It's just bad. So that's something you have to take into consideration if you want this. Your whole approach to shooting video needs to match this. It's gonna be hard for you to get this to match your style because it's heavy, it's bulky, no stabilization. This is really good for kind of set shots, cinematic reel. And I mean, that's what it's geared for, right? Next thing up, memory. Memory, memory, memory. You're shooting 6K, you're shooting big files. Shooting big files, you need a lot of transfer speed, which means you need upgraded memory cards. Safe to say the one that you've got in your regular shooter probably isn't gonna cut it for this. Right now, I'm using a pro grade 128 gig C fast card, or if it'll get in there. This is one of the things that annoys me. Card doesn't go in well. It's kind of a pain in the butt. And that door, also kind of a pain in the butt. But if you want to be filming in 6K or anywhere close to that, you're going to have something that is a heavy duty card. It's got to have a lot of storage space, and it's got to write fast. If I tried to use my 128 gig SD card that writes at about, I don't know, like 100 megs a second out of that camera and this, I'd probably get about 6 to 8 seconds of film time before it cut off because it drops frames. Now I have it set on this that if it starts to drop frames, filming just stops. So about 6 to 8 seconds on a 100 megasecond card. It's not gonna cut it. Storage is expensive for something like this. That 128 gig card is like 250 bucks. And as soon as you start getting up to like the 256 cards and 500, you're spending like half a grand on memory alone. So memory and writing in this is an expensive endeavor. And something that goes kind of hand in hand with the memory, if you do get a C fast card like I wanted, because I wanted all my storage on board, you're gonna have to get a reader. So that's just another expense that you're gonna have to take care of to make this compatible with your workflow, or even to get anything off of it. You can't plug this into your computer via USB and transfer files. It doesn't work that way. It won't let you. So what a lot of people do is they'll get an SSD drive and attach it to the top of this. Now the reason I didn't want to have an SSD is I don't really trust having the USB attached to the SSD and then ported to the body. I'm paranoid of transfer failure. I didn't want to be recording only to find out later that something was wrong with the connection and data is corrupted or not even written at all. And there's a reason why the SSD drives are so much cheaper, because you do have to deal with that risk, and it's easier to cram more memory into a bigger box than, you know, a CFast card. So let's catch up real quick with where we are so far. It's big. You could obviously tell that from any photos or anything you looked at online. It's big. No in-body stabilization. The majority of cinema lenses aren't gonna have stabilization in them either. Unless you're gonna be working on a tripod or find some really robust gimbal setup, footage might be a little shaky. Storage is expensive, and you cannot transfer out of body. For all intents and purposes, just assume this is a manual focus camera. And it is. Manual focus, manual focus. So if you want to use something like this, you're probably gonna have to build out a rig with a follow focus setup. Something that allows you to hit your focus points and shoot more than, 3-second clips of steady subjects. Because that's not that fun, right? So be prepared. Looking at follow focuses. It's a wide kind of range of what their prices are. You can get some for as low as $100, and then some really pro focus setups, like $1,000. Might look good on paper that this is only $1,900, but that's because you gotta spend a lot more to get it kind of an equivalent to what it is that you're used to shooting if you're a run and gun kind of shooter. If you're used to moving around a lot, having that hybrid kind of setup on a gimbal, this probably is not for you. It just isn't. Are you looking for cinema grade set kind of structured out shots? Do you like creating your own kind of storyboard? This is for you. This is for you. Do you really like the technical aspect of filming? This is definitely for you. If you like creating cool content that's great on social media and web, I can't really see the need for this. I'm almost talking myself out of it at this point. But if you're a person who really likes the art of photography and video, and you want to create really beautiful, dramatic, mood-setting pieces, this is up your alley. This is something that you should be looking at because you're probably already interested in lighting techniques and setting up scenes and stuff like that. And speaking of setup, you better have those things set up because I have been playing around with it, just seeing what I could do, seeing what I could get, treating it like a real run and gun setup. I ran the battery out before I even filled up the card. The battery does not last long on this. Plain and simple. Overall, with the construction, you know, it's good. It's nice. I like it. I don't mind it. It's plastic, so it doesn't feel super high quality. The big screen in the back is super nice, really responsive, really intuitive. But the actual feel of it, I don't know. It's not gonna blow you away with its quality feel. I mean, even these, I don't know why they didn't just make those doors. They never really kind of pop in correctly. They're kind of fumbly. They don't feel quality. They're just rubberized push-ins. And more often than not, I'm just sitting there pressing, and the thing won't stick, and then finally just slips into place. It doesn't feel like it's like, I don't know, super quality, couple $1,000 piece of equipment, put it that way. But the product that it puts out, it definitely feels that way. So don't worry about that. So yeah, this is kind of a brief run through of me using it so far, what I think it is, how I think it should be, you know, kind of marketed, I guess, who I think would benefit from it the most, what type of shooters, what type of photographer, if you're a hobbyist, or giving some people information that I didn't see out there, at least not readily available. So I'm still on the fence on whether or not I'm going to keep this, because as I mentioned, hybrid shooting is kind of nice. This creates beautiful kind of framed up stuff. I don't know if it's entirely my style and if I can adapt to it that much. And that R5, man. Why'd you do it to me, Canon? I've always been a Sony guy. Now I'm gonna have to look at Canon. All right, hope this helped you out. I really appreciate it if you liked, subscribed. If you got any comments, leave them below. Any suggestions, leave them below. Any critiques, leave them below. All right, next time.